Tzu Chi volunteers in New Taipei prepare lunchboxes for disaster victims after the recent bout of torrential rain. Tzu Chi volunteers in Sri Lanka give out Jing Si folding beds and aid supplies to flood victims in Palindanuwara. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Sri Su. Thank you for joining us. We begin today's program with some updates on the relief effort after the recent bout of torrential rain in Taiwan. In New Taipei City's Jing Si district, residents are still cleaning up, and Tzu Chi volunteers also continue to help them. In addition, Tzu Chi volunteers also continue to help clean up Jing Si Temple. The volunteer is carrying 30-kilogram bag of sandbag, which is equivalent to 40 bottles of mineral water for several times, taking the slippery stair steps. A female volunteer, Xu Meilan, also carries the 30-kilogram bag of sandbag.
It is fine. I can carry it slowly. To be honest, we are just helping us for the day. Therefore, I think since we are just helping us for the day, we should seize the moment.
After Jing Si Temple was flooded, under the request of the Dharma master there, Tzu Chi volunteers have mobilized to help clean up and carry sandbags. In addition, the volunteers have come to Jing Si district. Since there's no tap water at this residence, the volunteers pump water. They take on different responsibilities. They first shovel the mud and debris before scrubbing and washing the place, restoring the house's original state. 93-year-old house owner is so happy that he asks to take a photo with the volunteers. His relative is also nicely surprised.
I thought Tzu Chi volunteers are here to do the simple jobs and take photos, but they've cleaned the place so thoroughly for us. Without your help, I would have to take a week off work.
The volunteers also help clean the 3 residences on Huanggang Road. Their help is timely and efficient.
Thank you very much. This place was wet, but now it has a brand new look.
The volunteers do their best at every occasion, seizing the time to help the affected residents get back on their feet. In Taiwan, the recent bout of torrential rain also brought damage to a community in Keelung. Muddy water flooded the basement and the first floor of many residential houses and shops. Tzu Chi volunteers mobilized to help clean up the debris.
At this dark basement, a group of Tzu Chi volunteers whose average age is nearly 70 can only rely on these lights to clean the muddy debris on the ground. It takes them a lot of efforts to clear away this heavy dirt. Another basement of medical clinic has also been severely damaged by torrential rain. Volunteers worked together to clear out these waterlogged medical records. However, since it is difficult to clean paper, volunteers eventually discarded them as garbage. The Jijin First Road in Keelung is one of the most affected areas. This burrowhead, who has just undergone surgery in the spine 4 days ago, enduring pain to serve local residents even though the doctor advised her not to stand for so long. The owner of this electrical appliance shop affected by the flood generously lending water and electricity to volunteers and reminding them to be careful when using electricity.
I feel miserable because most of my belongings are gone. I don't know how to express my thanks to Tzu Chi.
After putting a lot of efforts shoveling the muddy debris, all of the volunteers feel exhausted. of the 6 boroughs on the Jijin First Road were affected by the recent bouts of torrential rain. To help restore this community to its former glory, Tzu Chi volunteers work non-stop to clean up the environment.
In a related story, in New Taipei City, Shimen, Tzu Chi's Northern Taiwan volunteers also mobilized to help residents clean up their houses. Besides cleaning up their houses, volunteers also visited local families, delivering the best wishes of Master Zheng Yan along with aid supplies. With mud and debris in the kitchen and living room, all of these pieces of furniture have been ruined. Chen Sulian lives in a single-story house near the sea. When it rained heavily, the borough head asked her and her daughter to leave immediately.
I grabbed my cell phone and ran. I had to rush out in less than 5 minutes.
Tzu Chi volunteers work as a team to clear out the debris inside the house, helping this mother-daughter pair. Upon seeing money inside a drawer, the volunteers immediately return it to Chen Sulian.
Oh, 谢谢谢谢，还有钱呢，还有钱，谢谢，感恩。
Besides helping the residents clean up their homes, Tzu Chi volunteers also visit families in Shimen district. In addition to helping the disaster victims, Tzu Chi volunteers also help their Dharma family. Next to the mountain, rocks and mud have piled up behind the house. This damaged house belongs to the relative of Tzu Chi volunteer Shen Lujuan. Other volunteers have come to help her clean up the place.
112 people came to this district. I'm deeply touched. Everyone worked till he is soaked with sweat.
In and out of the house, some people are shoveling the debris while others are organizing their belongings.
It takes effort to carry out this task, but I'm happy doing it. Everyone works together to help us clean up. Thank you very much for helping us like this. We are deeply moved.
Another resident, Cai Jiaozhu, suffers from Parkinson's disease and feels helpless as she faces her damaged home.
If we did not help them, they would not know where to start.
Besides cleaning up, the volunteers also visit the families to observe their conditions. In some places, they have to walk.
I am deeply touched today because every item is delivered into the hands of those in need. We hope with our best wishes, the affected residents will live in peace and safety.
The recent storm also caused damage at Boiling Kindergarten in Taipei. Tzu Chi volunteers have come twice to clean up the place. They hope that the kindergarten could reopen soon.
The volunteers watch every toy attentively. The storm brought much damage to Boiling Kindergarten. The volunteers have cleared away mud from the floor, but there are still many things to do.
This is the third time. It was probably when they were cleaning the place, they sprayed water and left behind some mud, so we're cleaning them. The kids also have their class here, so we must pay attention to the hygienic condition here.
Sometimes kids would put things to their mouths, so we must wash them very clean.
Tzu Chi volunteers have come cleaning up the place on June 3rd. On this day, 22 of them came again to conduct a more thorough cleanup. While the sun is shining, the volunteers bring the books and toys out under the sun for good sterilization.
Tables and chairs in this class still have some mud, so teams from Zhongshan and Neihu districts came to wash them.
The Environmental Protection Department sent a cleaning team to help us wash away the remaining mud. Then came Tzu Chi volunteers. Thank you very much for your help. We'll also ask an expert to evaluate why we were flooded.
Currently, 55 students from boarding kindergarten are taking classes at Binjiang Secondary School affiliated kindergarten, and they can stay there until late July. Therefore, the volunteers are speeding up their work so these children can return to their own kindergarten.
In addition to helping disaster victims clean up, more than 130 volunteers from Jing Si housing Xingdian and Shuanghe worked together to prepare about 1,500 lunchboxes for the residents and volunteers who joined the cleanup effort.
Here in the kitchen of the Shuanghe Liaison office, volunteers have already been busy cooking at 5:30 a.m. They will make bento lunch boxes and later deliver them to the disaster areas for the residents and volunteers who join the cleanup efforts.
After receiving a bone marrow transplant, I feel like I'm reborn and I can now help others. I think it is quite a blessing being able to help. The person who's able to give is the most fortunate.
Though this is an unexpected duty, volunteers are still able to mobilize 80-some kitchen volunteers who have past experience in one night.
Tzu Chi can mobilize a lot of people in a very short time. Each one of us sympathizes with the affected residents who experienced an unexpected disaster, and we want to develop a friendship with them, so many people volunteer to come and help.
Taking the rising prices of vegetables into consideration after the heavy rain, volunteers slightly changed some of the vegetables in the lunch boxes, but still maintain the balanced nutrition.
Because cucumbers and carrots were not impacted by the rain, I went to the market to buy them from one vendor to another, which is sufficient for us to make 1,100 lunch boxes.
In addition to the more than 1,000 lunch boxes provided by the Shuanghe Liaison office, Tzu Chi volunteers in Xingdian also take the responsibility to prepare 450 lunch boxes.
Because the traditional market is off on Mondays, we asked Sister Yu Xiumei to go to the market and ask the vendors who sell vegetables to keep root vegetables for us. When we held a meeting yesterday, we also asked Sister Xiumei to buy green leaf vegetables at an evening market with a total amount of 60 kilograms.
Nearly 50 volunteers work harmoniously to give disaster victims the warmth and love from Tzu Chi.
People who came here to help prepared the lunch boxes with sincerity. We wish all the disaster victims can get through this difficult time peacefully. Last month, southwestern Sri Lanka experienced its worst flooding in 14 years. Sri Lanka's Tzu Chi volunteers visited the hardest hit area, Palindanuwara, where many of the affected residents were temporarily living in a local school. Some Tzu Chi volunteers from Singapore and 20 local volunteers have brought Jing Si folding beds, blankets, and cooking pots for these flood survivors.
After the flood, 45 families were forced to move into the school. Tzu Chi volunteers register these disaster survivors who are surviving by sleeping on these desks, which are assembled together. Tzu Chi volunteers from Sri Lanka and Singapore joined together to provide Jing Si folding beds, blankets, and cooking utensils. Because this community is on a slope in a remote mountainous area, it took quite a lot of effort to bring these supplies here. A Jing Si folding bed weighs 15 kilograms, and these girls work alongside others transporting these supplies. Everyone works together as locals are surprised that these chairs can also turn into a bed.
I sleep with with my child, but these days I can't sleep well because the space is so small, with kids sleeping on desks on the ground.
The hardest hit area of Palindanuwara had previously experienced landslides and was considered quite dangerous. Many of these affected villagers were quite homesick and yet could not go home. Many who had escaped to this location brought few things with them, as they are now in dire need of supplies.
In the Philippines, a gunman attacked the resort's Royal Manila and set it ablaze on June 2nd, leaving 37 people dead. Tzu Chi volunteers headed to funeral parlors and victims' homes to console their families. Here's more.
After the shooting incident, the victims' bodies have already been sent to funeral parlors or their homes. Tzu Chi volunteers headed to funeral parlors and victims' homes to mourn their loss and console the family of victims. Volunteers want to let them know that even though they are not biologically related, volunteers will always be there to support them. These shooting incidents took place at the Resorts World Manila, which has been supporting Tzu Chi's recycling ideals for many years. Each month, volunteers collect a lot of recyclables here. This cooperation not only helps reduce garbage, but can also raise money by selling recyclables as funds for charitable events, medical assistance, and education.
Clothes that are too tight for us or those that are out of fashion are generally put in recycling receptacles. However, some of these old clothes can be upcycled through creative design, becoming new clothes once again. In our next report, we meet a designer who does just that. Li studied clothes design in Australia and upon returning home spent 2 years working for a clothing recycler. She transformed second-hand clothes into new fashions.
这个到时候怎么缝起来，还会再细条这样子。
Adding this lace material to this leather jacket makes it appear new and trendy once again.
These sewing machines, thread, and clothing are all second-hand. Even the cabinets are second-hand, and so are the tables.
This is Li Yali, a fashion designer who specializes in second-hand clothing. The main difference between her and other fashion designers is that everything that she produces comes from second-hand clothing.
When I choose these materials, I'll say I don't need materials that are too good, as I don't want items that second-hand shops can sell.
She worked in a second-hand clothing shop, which would receive 10,000 bundles of used clothing each year. Unfortunately, only 30 to 40% of these clothes could be put on the shelf, with the rest of the clothes being discarded as garbage. However, she takes these materials to help her create new fashions.
我身上这件衣服是阿嬷衣改造的，这个包包是有旧 T 恤改造的，时尚也可以很环保哦。
This old blouse and this black dress have been reworked to produce this fashionable clothing set. And here's a photo of a suit jacket which has been transformed into something special.
这些旧衣服呢，其实只要经过改造之后，都可以变得很不一样。像现在我身上穿的这一件背心。
These old clothes, in fact, can be transformed into something totally different. This retro vest that I am wearing is made from a man's old suit jacket, and this part in the back is actually made from the handle of an old handbag.
I hope that this type of design can actually make it to the mainstream market. For example, the fast pace of fashion could make use of similar design and use second-hand materials to produce it. Doing it this way, sewing a circle on the edge allows it to be turned inside out. It doesn't matter if it's on the outside or inside, as it all looks the same.
College student Lin Menghui is trying to start a new recycled bag movement. In her school, she is the president of her environmental protection student group. She called a number of stores near her home to learn about how to use old clothes to make shopping bags. And now she is an apprentice to Li Yali. And here this old dress is turned into a bag in less than 10 minutes.
If more people are willing to do this, then I think this movement will have more power in the future.
有点像是清空自己的衣柜。
It allows one to empty out their wardrobe and at the same time getting something which can be used more frequently.
This is a clothing recycling company which wants to use social enterprise business models, such as offering these recycled bags for about $2, along with other upcycled clothing on the internet. But there has been little response from the public, which is the biggest bottleneck they face. Another clothing brand has successfully recycled older down jackets to make new products that are displayed alongside jackets which are totally new.
I like to tell the consumers the story behind this produce and inspire them to make a choice and hopefully select this garment made from recycled items.
The company works with the bedding industry to acquire used quilts with the down inside disinfected, then sent to the garment factory. Technically, this is easy to do, but it may not save money.
The only difference is the recycling process and what is traditionally used with virgin materials. Using these recycled materials costs more because the recycling plant is more expensive to operate.
The problem is that recycling processes incur greater cost. The company aims for 10% of all products to come from sustainable materials. To raise this amount, more costs may need to be passed along to the consumer, with many uncertain if shoppers will accept this.
I think that a certain type of marketing focuses on classic design, and it doesn't matter how long the product is on the shelf. We encourage people not to chase the latest fashion design. This isn't the most important thing.
Through innovation and creativity, we can maximize the value of a piece of clothing. We must all recognize the importance of environmental protection, meaning that consumer concepts may need to change to help reduce the burden on the environment.
In Taiwan, Huang Zhuyan, a student from Zhanghua's Huatan Junior High School, donated her bone marrow to her father last month. Yet in the same month, she was involved in a severe scooter accident. When word got out about her situation, many kind-hearted people, including Tzu Chi volunteers, lent a helping hand.
Reminded of her daughter's accident, Mrs. Huang cannot hold back her tears due to Mr. Huang's leukemia. Their daughter, Zhu Yan, donated her marrow to save her father. However, shortly after the transplant surgery, Zhu Yan got into a severe accident.
It was about 7 or 8 when we got the call from the police. The chief called to tell us our daughter was involved in a car accident and was in ICU, so we were worried.
The Huang family is a mid to low income family. Mr. Huang has long suffered from cerebral palsy, and after the transplant surgery, he's still feeling pretty weak.
I could bathe myself in the past, but now I can't lift my arms.
Mrs. Huang takes care of him and their 7th grade child. I can't bear to think of Zhu Yan like this.
Zhu Yan's injuries are mostly to the head and legs. Though she has regained consciousness, she's still unable to speak yet. Knowing her family's situation, parents of her peers have taken to social media to garner blessings for her.
Zhu Yan's graduating next week. We're contacting the Taiwan Fund for Children and Families to see how they can help. The school is also raising funds for her.
With the school and Tzu Chi's love, Mr. and Mrs. Huang are eternally grateful. Zhu Yan's peers also sends words of encouragement, as well as origami cranes to bring about blessings.
In Malaysia, Tzu Chi volunteers in Kuala Lumpur and Selangor have been preparing for the establishment of a Tzu Chi international school. They recently visited residents in different communities to raise funds for the school. We'll leave you with these images at the end of our program. Thank you for joining us. See you next time.